It was in August of 2020 where Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder sat down with Chris Cornell's daughter, Lily Cornell Silver, where he was a guest on her Instagram series called Mind Wide Open. Now, in this interview, Eddie covered a range of topics, including talking about Lily's father and late Soundgarden frontman Chris Cornell. Now, Chris and Eddie were great friends, of course, in real life, both being from that Seattle grunge era, and in the early 90s would come together for a collaboration with the band Temple of the Dog, which included members from both Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, where Eddie Vedder sang on the song Hunger Strike with Chris. Now, we got some pretty cool Eddie Vedder, Chris Cornell stories coming up in just a minute, but just before we get to that, Eddie talks to Lily here just about how genuine the grunge movement was and the lyrics and the songs expressed in that time, just how genuine and real that whole scene was.
You know, I mean, obviously he had the music and, you know, there's some dark lyrics, Kurt's lyrics, there were some dark lyrics, Lane's lyrics, there were some dark lyrics. And these weren't people going, oh, I think I'm gonna pretend to write a dark song, or I'm gonna try to come up with, you know.
Yeah.
That it was real for everybody.
And that is so true what Eddie Vedder says there about just how much the grunge movement just meant to everybody, the whole world, really. I mean, people from all around the world gravitated towards it. It just meant that much to them. And the great personalities you had portraying that music to everybody and putting that music out to everyone, the Kurts, the Lanes, the Eddies, the Chris's. One hell of a time, that's for sure. And we're gonna go on now to some real cool memories and stories here that Eddie Vedder shares about him and Chris Cornell going out on this massive nature hike, like real early in the morning. Nobody knew where they were. They didn't even know where they were. It's funny stuff. Let's go check it out.
But going back to your dad, you know, he'd pick me up at like 6 a.m. It was still dark out. We'd go grab a quick breakfast. We'd drive out to the middle of nowhere, swimming in the coldest like ice pools, and then climbing up these crazy like green mountains, and then into this rock mountain. The rocks were like crumbling. It became kind of like light brown crumbling rocks, and all of a sudden we were just both like two Spider-Man impersonators just hanging on the side of this thing, not being able to move.
Yeah. Oh
just
my God.
Stuck. Like the situation was so ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Nobody knew where we were.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you tell Susan where we were going? He's like, shoot, yeah. I didn't. I think she's in Detroit or somewhere.
So at the end there, Susan, that was Chris Cornell's wife at the time, Susan Silver, for those of you who may not have known. She was the former manager for Soundgarden and Alice in Chains as well. But back to those stories, just about how him and Eddie didn't tell anybody where they were, got up to a heap of crazy stuff, and that was just a cool story. Chris Cornell, of course, died. It was a very sad and very tragic thing that happened back in May of 2017 after a Soundgarden show. He had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. That's Lily, the one you see in that interview. That's his eldest daughter, his eldest child that he had with Susan Silver. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Some pretty cool old school grunge memories there.